while we're doing this road and enjoying the beautiful scenery, I wanted to do a bit of a review. No, it's just how I found the Honda Nt1100 Dct. I've had it for 2 years past March. This is October, so what, 2 years, 6-7 months, something of that nature. In that time, I've done 3 European tours, once to Switzerland, twice to Norway, taken in all the countries in between, been on ferries with it. I've been to Orkney on it and all over Scotland. Also ridden a bike down to Hull and Newcastle for the ferries. I've done up to now 12,000, just over 12,000 miles in that time. And when you consider I've got 3 bikes, that mileage is shared. My mileage I do, I reckon I'd be, in the time I've owned this, I'd be near 30,000 miles on it if I just used one bike. I've got a list of stuff just a ready reckoner to talk about, and I'll scoot through these. First thing is the engine. It's an 1100cc engine. I'm not really into stats. I prefer how it feels, and I've got to say it's plenty real world performance coupled to the DCT. Makes for a great combination for a touring bike. But as you can see, I can do these little gnarly roads as well as doing the motorway miles. It is magnificent. Now, I never leave it in drive, running Sport 1. However, as you go up, progress up through the sport modes 2 and 3, holds onto the gears far longer, and the engine really sings. More than enough real life power, making a brilliant combination. Do I have any criticisms of the engine? Not really. One of the things that you'll hear all the time about this generation, this is first generation NT1100 of course, is it's snatchy. It could well be, if you've got the grip of a pubescent teenager in heat, then yes, but if you could roll the throttle on and caress that throttle, it's as smooth as they come. So that's the engine, the gearbox, and the fueling. I believe in later models they've smoothed that curve out with the throttle. So the next thing, suspension and brakes. Another criticism of the NT1100 is the soft suspension. Personally, I don't find it too soft. I don't ride sports bikes. I have regularly ridden my son's R9T, and I can tell you how much prefer this bike to the hard suspension on the R9T. I think it's a 2017 variation. Was well known for not having terrific suspension, although it keeps you on the road really well. It's just as hard as nails. On this one, it's perfect. When you load up, add some preload for the extra weight, and you'll never know it's there. Comfortable all day long ride. In terms of the brakes, dual discs on the front. I use my rear brake extensively, and this bike stops when you need it to. I've had a couple of occasions when I've had to slam on the brakes during its lifetime, and this bike stayed upright and it stopped. So the next thing on my list is ergonomics. how comfortable is this bike? So I'm 5'10", I think, and inside leg of 31, and I can easily flat foot this bike without any drama whatsoever, and that gives for confidence. The bike carries its weight low down. It's 240-ish kilos if I remember rightly, and it carries that weight low down, and it doesn't feel top heavy in any shape or form. My previous bike to this one, the VFR 1200X, was a monster in comparison. So very easy to ride, very easy to get on with. Seating position is as you would expect from a tourer, is very comfortable. I did over 3 hours yesterday without a break. Eventually I did need to get off to stretch my legs, but that's what you get when you sit on a motorbike for 3 hours. And very comfortable. I've got the standard seat, and I've done 3 tours with the standard seat. But I've put one of these gel pads on that I got for the NC750X. Not because I think I needed it, because it just gives that extra layer of comfort to the bike, and it was only 20 quid or something like that. Absolutely brilliant. So the seat is comfortable. I have heard people complain about the standard seat, but I suppose that's an individual thing, eh? Well, like I say, I've done 3 European tours and Orkney on this bike, and I'm very happy. I sit upright. I don't feel like I'm putting any weight on my wrists or on my hands. Straight back, not too much of a bend in the knee, so the peg to seat ratio to handlebars for me works perfectly. Once again, I've heard people say they like a bar riser and all the rest of it, but once again, that's a personal preference. But I don't get fatigue sitting on this bike the way I did on the R9T, for instance. So the ergonomics is really good. It's a comfortable all day long riding machine. Will take you many, many miles. Talking of miles, fuel consumption on this journey so far, I'm averaging 60 miles to the gallon. You'll easily get 200 miles out of a tank and more. Look at that, that's lovely. And more. But then, for me personally, I start to get fuel anxiety if I leave it much longer. Extras on this bike. This bike comes with heated grips. I've got them on just now. My hands are toasting. It's got the USB plugs all over the shop. It's got one on the left, 12-volt outlet, and the other one's a USB-C or a USB-A, can't remember what it is, on the right side. I think it's just an A actually, on the right hand side. I have added huggers front and back to try and keep the crap off it, and they kind of work to a certain extent. I put the spotlights on to help with safety, be seen and all that kind of stuff, and it also helps fill in the gaps where the headlights perhaps don't reach. Although the headlights are adequate, that's for sure. I've put a top box on the back. I've put a shad one. I wasn't going to spend, I don't know what it is, 400 or 500 quid on the Honda one. Okay, it's a different key, but I paid $250 for that box, so does the same thing and looks just as good. Maintenance. I do my own maintenance on this. I won't do the valve clearances on it, that's beyond my skill set. because it shims and all the rest of it. I don't know how to do that, but I'll get that done at the appropriate time. I think 16,000 miles, but I do the oil changes and all the other work. I've got a Honda checklist that I go through. So they do the oil and filter changes. Honda say to do your filters every 2 years, but up to now I've changed the filters every year. Okay, it's a bit more expensive. It's a bit more expensive. Look at that, isn't that just stunning? But well worth it to keep the bike in good nick. One of the things that I don't see that many videos on is about the maintenance of this windshield. And what I mean about that is the mechanism gummed up quite a bit, to the extent that I could hardly move it, even with two hands. I was frightened I was going to knock the bike over. So every couple of months I get a bit of white grease, squish that in, and it is as smooth as you like. So that's a little bit of maintenance I've not heard anybody talk about. The other thing that I've done, and you'll get to see a video about it eventually, is I've adjusted the parking brake. The parking brake had become nigh on useless, so it's literally a 5 minute. It took me longer to find the spanners to adjust it, and I'll show you how to do that in a short video. The rest of the maintenance pretty straightforward. Clean, grease, chains in great nick after 11,000 miles. So very happy with it. Got a lot of tech on the bike. You can integrate it with your phone, get the maps up on that screen, Android Auto. I've got a TomTom, which I much prefer to relying on a phone, especially imagine trying to get a signal out here on this in this area. So I don't use that. I actually don't connect. I don't connect my phone to the bike at all. My phone's connected to the helmet, and that's all I need. It's got cruise control, and it's got rider modes and all the rest of it, and most of the time I don't use them. I use Tour when I'm doing this kind of stuff, and that's about it. Any downsides to the bike? People moan about the screen, not being able to move it on the go. Yeah. They moaned about suspension. I found the bike very compliant to ride. Gives you lots of confidence. If I don't know if I would bring the VFR on this road, if truth be told. In fact, I'm pretty certain I wouldn't, because you were always having to manage that way. This one just does it. Going into corners, it just sits there and gives you supreme confidence. I've replaced the tyres this year. I just put the Dunlop Road Techs, I think they are, and I'll stick it up on the screen if it's not, back on again, because I was so pleased with them. And it's a joy to ride. I love riding this bike. The looks of it, that's a personal thing, but I think it's a beautiful looking bike. I'm going to keep this bike until I can no longer ride it, I think. Right now, handling it, moving it around, I don't have any issues with it. Right, let's just see if we can get over here. Is it falling off the bike, eh? Okay, that's my life with the NT1100 for the last couple of years, 3 years almost. And it was a great choice. Alright, I'm going to carry on this ride, but for this portion, thanks for watching. Bye for now.